This is a pretty cool experiment that we're gonna do, and it's multifaceted. So I'll kind of explain a little bit of each piece, and then we'll start doing it. So I'm gonna do several things. On the left here, I have a glucose monitor, and on the middle, this is a product called Ketone IQ, and I'll talk about what ketones are in a second. And this is another product called Delta G. So both of these are ketones, but they're different forms of ketones. And there's actually an argument between these two ketones. First of all, ketones are created by the liver, and they are used as an energy source when we are without carbohydrate and when we don't eat. So it's kind of like an extra fuel source that your body manufactures in a situation where you don't have a lot of food for an extended period of time. And you'll hear people talk about going into ketosis. And if you are an active person, not eating, in my opinion, is not a great option. Like, we need to eat, we need to fuel our bodies. And you could do like a limited time fast, but you've got to understand if you don't eat food, you're not going to perform well. And so the premise of taking a ketone that is exogenous or outside the body is that it can give you an extra fuel source. And you still take carbohydrates, you still do the things you normally do, but you have even more energy. So I've experimented with these for a few years now, and both products are effective for different reasons and for different effects. But what I wanted to test is what happens to ketones and to blood glucose when you take them all together. So the theory is, I also have some super simple sugars here, some GU Energy Chews, and a lemon lime gel. So I've taken all of this stuff separately and tested it separately, but I've yet to take it all together. So there's a theory that ketones will not allow your blood glucose to come up as high as it normally would. And I want to see. So the order of events is I'm going to put on this glucose monitor. I'm going to put on the glucose monitor. I'm going to test my ketones. And this is a continuous glucose monitor, so it'll test glucose all throughout. So I'm going to put this on. I'm going to test here. I'm going to take these ketones. We're going to wait 15 or 20 minutes, test here, take this ketone product, test again, take all of this sugar at once, which is, I'm actually not super excited about that because I have no workout planned in the next hour. And normally I would say there's no reason to take this sugar if you have no workout planned. Like, I actually might just go work out just because I'm taking all this sugar. But normally I would say don't do that. Like, my thought process with nutrition is we're fueling for what we're about to do. So if you don't have something planned and you're not about to do some big effort, then I would suggest eating a protein-rich diet for that next hour and having some carbs and some fat kind of sprinkled in there. But yeah, we're going off script for the name of science today to figure out what's going on inside. And then I also have this ketone monitor where I'll prick my finger probably every 15 minutes and test the ketones. And we'll get to see where blood sugar and ketones go up and down. So if I had to guess, I would say that what's gonna happen is initially my blood sugar is gonna be somewhere around 85 or 90, maybe a little bit under that. And I think my ketones are gonna be under 1.0. And then after I take this, it'll go to 1.6. After I take this, it'll go to 4. somewhere around 3 to 4. And then my blood sugar is gonna spike probably well over 100 with these guys. But if the ketones truly do slow down the sugar, the glucose spike, it might actually be a little bit less than I think. So that's the general idea of what we're gonna try to do. And one more thing beforehand, I wanna explain the difference between these two products. So this product right here is a ketone that is R1, 3 butanol. I can't say that word, but this is a ketone that Delta G, this company, says makes you feel like you're drunk. I totally disagree with that. Like, I've taken this for years and it definitely works. But it does not raise your ketone levels as high as the Delta G ketones. So these were made with, this is a Delta G Tactical, and it was made with government contracts to help soldiers feel more alert in the field. And it definitely works. Both of them definitely work. But this one makes you have ketones that are higher for longer. This one, your ketones aren't quite as high, but it does give you a little bit of a euphoric feeling. And I actually feel like this product gives you a little bit more mental clarity and focus, whereas this product just gives you longer energy. So take that with what you will, but in my mind, if I'm gonna run a 5K, 10K type workout, or a faster, high intensity workout for those of you that may not run, I would take this product. If I was gonna go on a 4-hour hike or bike for 5 hours, then I would probably take this product. So that gives you a little bit difference in what they're used for. But all right, let's do it. So first thing is I'm gonna stab myself in the arm with this. Amazing. So basically, and that's the phone connecting with this, I believe. Okay, so there's a needle in there, and then there's a button on the side. And basically you put it kind of in the fat of your arm, hit that button, and I actually didn't even feel it. Like, I did not feel it at all. Like, after I let go, I was like, huh, did it actually go on there? So there's a needle in my arm right now that should be registering. Yep, and it's pairing with the phone. Pairing is complete. And your sensor is now warming up. Oh man, 27 minutes remaining. So we're probably gonna take a short break and get back with you in 27 minutes. Because I really can't test or eat anything until this sensor is rolling. And then this is a little strip that goes on the sensor to make sure it stays on. All right, I've got my glucose monitor on, and let's see, the last time I ate was about 2 hours ago. And I did have a pretty good sugar content intake because I ran this morning and worked out. But my glucose right now is at 93. So I'm gonna take 30 grams of ketones, which is a lot. And then we're gonna test my ketone level in a couple minutes here. So this product's kind of cool. It's got each 10 gram mark is labeled with a line across the bottle. And so basically what I do before a workout is I just put my thumb on that mark and then drink it. So that's one serving. It actually tastes terrible. There's 1.5. All right, that's 3. And when I say it tastes terrible, it's pretty bad. It does have some monk fruit in it, and citric acid, and a couple other flavors, but it does not mask the flavor very well. And this one tastes even worse, like absolutely horrible tasting. And so we're gonna wait about 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna take a ketone test with this monitor and a finger prick. Then we'll do the next one, wait 15 minutes and keep going and see how my ketones rise. And then eventually we'll get to the sugar and we'll see if my glucose rises even though my ketones are really high. I would love for you to take 3.
Sure. Yeah.
Pour it in your cup and drink it.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter that coffee.
No.
Okay.
Dude. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's see. I'm gonna pour it in there for you. Dude, you can definitely feel it. All right, you need to drink it fairly. It's bad, huh? It's like alcohol almost.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing about these two products is I talked to these guys, and I talked to these guys. Like I called them, had like a phone consult with them. These guys do not like these guys. They say that this makes you drunk. It does not. Does not mess with your motor coordination, but you do feel like a euphoric, like uplifting feeling. Like you feel like you have more energy. Like I have 30 grams in me right now, and I feel like I have more energy. And I think that's what we're looking for. If you're trying to exercise, you want to have more energy. Yeah, it's really bad tasting. And I would love for you to try this one as well, because it is 10 times worse. Like, I'm not kidding. This one tastes 10 times worse. Okay, so we're back. I am gonna test my ketones. And let's do a little update here. On my glucose is kind of stabilized at 88. Was 93, dropped to 87, stabilized at 88. We're about 15 minutes from taking Ketone IQ. And I had the cameraman take Ketone IQ as well. So, all right, so this is pretty simple. I've got a lancet set on number 2, and I'm gonna wipe my finger off. And we're going to stab myself. And this is a tip, like the initial blood, you wanna wipe it, and then you wanna get the blood going there. And we're gonna stick this in the monitor. And then we're gonna suck up some blood, and there it goes. So it takes about 10 seconds to get a reading, and I'm guessing 1.6. Come on, 1.6. 1.1. So it's up considerably to a normal ketone value of, I think, like 0.2 is what it sits at. I'm actually gonna research that real quick because I can't remember. Normal ketone level. 0.6. So I've got 0.5 higher on the ketones at the moment. I think I want to wait and do one more measurement in about 10 minutes and see if it went up a little bit more, and then we'll do this one right here. 20 minutes from taking Ketone IQ, and I'm going to test again. Nice bead of blood. Got about 10 seconds. I'm hoping it's above 1.1. Oh, it's right at 1.1. So that's interesting to know. Ketone IQ, I've measured this before at up to 1.6 with ketone IQ. All right, now it's time for the grossest one, is the delta G ketones. So the difference here is this is a chemical called R1,3-butanol, and this is a ketone ester. So it's a much more potent form of ketones. And it tastes horrible. Like, this is the worst tasting thing I've ever tasted in my life. But here goes. It's really bad. It tastes like you're drinking, like, I don't know why my mind's coming to this, but like nickel. It tastes like you're drinking like a melted down nickel. And usually what I do is I'll take some water and pour it in there and shake it up. So I make sure I get all of the nastiness. All right, we're hitting the timer. And I want to do a glucose check too, because we're seeing if glucose is affected by the ketones. Okay, so I'm at 85. Was it 93? It went down to 87, and now we're at 85, and we're trending down. So the more the ketones set in, it looks like the glucose is continuing to go down. Super interesting, and we're gonna check back in 15 minutes with another ketone test, and we're guessing that we're gonna be up to 4, I think it's milligrams per deciliter of ketones. So we'll check back here in about 15 minutes. I really don't know if having lower glucose because of ketones is better or worse. So there's a theory that ketones are going to reduce the ability to get your glucose up, which could be a bad thing, because if you're in high intensity exercise and your ketones are super high and your glucose can't mobilize in your blood, but I really don't know. And that's part of like my whole personal theme of curiosity and experimentation. Like, I want to learn, and I think too often people make a decision without testing. And that's why I love the testing process and trying to figure it out and see. My guess is what's going to happen, because I have not had carbohydrates in 2.5 hours, 3 hours. My guess is when I finally take these carbohydrates, they're still gonna go, my glucose is still gonna go up even though I've got ketones present, and that is gonna be the benefit of taking ketones and sugar, is you have 2 sources of fuel that you can pull from when you're exercising. All right, so we are 15 minutes out from delta G ketones. Blood sugar is still at 86, which was at 97 and has slowly gone down. I'm gonna do another test on delta G ketones, and it should be above 3. I think it's been long enough. We'll do one at 15 minutes. We'll do another one before we do the carbohydrates, unless we're above 3, and that'll probably be it there. So let's do one more. All right, we got a beep there. Switch fingers. Get a nice bit of blood. All right, 10 seconds and we'll know the result. I'm hoping that it's above 3, because that'll allow me to take the carbohydrate. Oh yeah, 3.7 ketones. So that's pretty high. So obviously what we can tell from that result is ketone IQ definitely raises your ketones. Delta G raises them a ton more than ketone IQ. So again, the idea is high intensity exercise, I would use Ketone IQ. If I'm gonna go super long and super slow and need energy, I'm probably gonna use Delta G. And what I would classify as super long and super slow would be like over 3 hours, maybe 2 hours if it was gonna be a hike. And definitely if it was like 5 or 6 hours, you were gonna do like some long hike in the woods or something like that. But if you're gonna do a 5K workout, and again, this is my curiosity and my interpretation. I don't know exactly. And I think that's where I always want to sit, is I want to be open to other people's opinions, other people's ideas. And so if somebody has a differing opinion there, like I'm open to hearing it and understanding these things from a science perspective more. But I think it's time for the carbohydrates. And we're gonna see how this glucose patch has affected my glucose, and see if I have this massive amount of carbohydrate with the ketones, does my glucose spike up? And if it does, I think that's gonna be super cool, because that says I can take these guys, and have the energy from the glucose and have the energy from the ketones. All right, so first up, and I'm kind of disappointed because I don't have a workout planned. I may actually go home after this and work out just because I took this stuff. So this is 100 calories of basically maltodextrin and fructose. So it's super sugary, and it'll be fun to see how quickly my glucose goes up. I'm gonna hit that timer. And we're about 45 minutes in from starting this process. So in 15 minutes, my ketones went from 1.1 to 3.7. That is significant. That's super fast. We should see this climb pretty quickly. All right, 100 calories down. Ugh. And this is 90, and it's organic tapioca syrup, organic cane sugar, maltodextrin. So it's basically, I could have said sugar, sugar, and sugar. Oh, 76 already. Oh, that's interesting. It went down. So I ate the sugar. I wonder if that is the ketones taking my glucose down. So it went from 93, 87, now 76. Now I'm gonna pile on the sugar and see if it comes back up. I'm gonna eat it as quick as I can. This is so not normal to do this when I don't have anything planned. These actually taste really good though. It's strawberry. And they're interesting, there's some electrolytes in here as well, but not a ton. 40 milligrams of sodium, 10 milligrams of potassium, so that's not really a lot of electrolyte. Oh, but it's 2 servings. This is 180 calories. So all in, I'm actually not sure how many calories are in here. Let's see, 160 calories, 220, 180, and 100. It's quite a bit, quite a bit of calories. I'm definitely Gonna have to go work out after this. All right, wow. 3 minutes from taking that. All right, I'm gonna give it about 10, 15 minutes to set, and we'll check back here and see where my glucose goes, and we'll test the ketones again. 15-minute check. So we're over an hour from taking these two, 15 minutes from carbohydrates, and my blood glucose is not going up. Okay, so I am 15 minutes from 180, 280 calories of carbohydrates. I'm 30 minutes from delta G, and I'm 45 minutes from ketone IQ. And it's so interesting. My blood glucose levels have bounced around from 78 to 86. So effectively, these two guys are keeping my blood glucose low, which is so interesting to me. I think a subsequent test needs to be deleting this one at some point in the future, just taking ketone IQ with the glucose and seeing what happens with blood sugar, and then deleting this one, just taking delta G with the glucose and seeing how that affects blood sugar. The reason I think that's interesting is ideally I would like my ketones to be up and my blood sugar to be up. But I've read before that ketones stops blood sugar from going up, which means that in exercise, once my ketones get too high, maybe I don't have the blood glucose circulating enough in my blood to use it. So this is very fascinating to see it kind of dip and stay low. I'm gonna do another ketone test and just see if my ketones are still up, which I would assume they are. All right, go to. And one of the things I know is on the Lancet, I keep it at level 2, because if I go higher than level 2, you can swivel how far the needle comes out. If I go higher than level 2 for me, I will bleed and not be able to stop it. All right, we got 10 seconds there. And just wiping that off generally for me stops the blood unless I'm running. Holy cow! My ketones are at 6.1. So I think that's probably why my glucose is refusing to climb. I have no idea where that sugar's going. Like, that's a research I need to follow up on, or if somebody has a heads up on what's happening with 6.1 ketones and a ton of glucose. And basically I've done this fasted. So yeah, I definitely want to come back and do that research that I was talking about, combine these two and then combine these two and see what happens. It's interesting because if combining these two raises my ketones and my glucose some, I would think that would be correct in the preferred method of high intensity exercise. And then conversely, if these two keep the blood glucose down and the ketones high, this would be the right combination for longer 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hour exercise. All right, we'll check back in 15 more minutes, and that'll probably be the final one that we'll do today, because that'll be over an hour out of doing all this combination of ketones. And then I'm gonna have to go work out because I feel so energized right now. I don't know if you can tell, but I am ready to do something right now. And that's part of the other reason why these supplements for exercise are good. They get you mentally and physically ready to go crush a workout. All right, I'm actually pretty excited about this result because I've read places that ketones suppress your blood sugar's ability to go up. So when you start exercise, you want your blood sugar to be up a little bit. And also your body is gonna mobilize sugar from your liver. Like it'll store glucose in your liver and it'll mobilize it as you exercise into your bloodstream. But you actually wanna start exercise with an elevated sugar. So we're now an hour 15 out from the whole process and we're 30 minutes out from taking the sugar. So my blood glucose now is up to 118 and it's climbing, which is excellent, which basically means I wanna test my ketones one more time. And that's kind of gonna prove, as long as my ketones are still up, it's gonna prove the idea that the ketones are not suppressing my blood sugar, but instead I've got ketones on board and sugar on board, and you can do both at the same time, totally fine, have extra energy from both sources. The key here, the takeaway, as long as my ketones are still up, the takeaway is you want to finish all your fueling about an hour 15 to an hour 30 before you go exercise. So you've got to plan that out in the grand scheme of things. And I think you could use the process of having the ketones first and then the blood sugar or the carbohydrate, or you could do the reverse. I don't necessarily think it matters since we combined them all. But let's do one more ketone test and see. All right, that's a good one. And still at 118, but I think I'm gonna get another reading here pretty soon, and it's gonna be, it's trending up. Okay, so we're an hour from taking both of these ketones, and we're at 5.6 millimoles per liter on the ketones. So it's staying up there, it's maintaining. Blood sugar is climbing. And honestly, guys, it is time for me to go work out because I cannot sit still. And that's a great thing. I am so pumped to do something right now. And this is kind of proof that before you do a big workout or a long day, man, these are great tools for you to use. My recommendation, as always, is if you're going to try something new, make sure you test it and make sure you are in the parameters of understanding when and how to do what you want to accomplish.